Back on MorningLine, thanks for joining us this morning. You see, we're talking about child abuse prevention, sex abuse as well, in that umbrella. This is the month. April is where we try to acknowledge it, but every month of the year is something. Sue Fort White with Our Kids is on with us this morning, along with Jill Howlett, social worker from Our Kids, and Rob Kerrigan with Metro Police Department. You know, one case, we talk about how maybe sexual abuse evolves, and the word grooming sometimes. One of the really super high profile cases that we've been covering, you guys are all aware of, is Elizabeth Thomas out of Murray County, who disappeared with her school teacher and has been missing now as of today for 5 weeks. And we can get into where the heck they are and why we haven't been able to find them yet. But the DA down there has been more forthcoming now about how it seems like the girl, 15, came from kind of a troubled background. There were some issues in her house, and that this teacher groomed her. What does that mean? Grooming her for a period of time where she, you know, appeared to have at least at some point maybe gone willingly with him. Of course, she's only 15. She's been manipulated and groomed. Right. That kind of thing. What is that?
Well, a lot of times our suspects will begin by giving small gifts. Yep. Just sort of normalizing their relationship and making, isolating them from friends. They'll start working on some of those issues within the girl's family. Like you said, that I think in this particular case, she came from a troubled
her mother had been removed for some abuse issues in this pending case.
A lot of times you may have a child or a teenager that's hungering for some attention.
So she's vulnerable.
And these guys hone in on that and give them that attention and that praise that they're looking for, and use that to manipulate them. There's reasons why we have laws for that. You can't have sexual contact with a teenager because they seem sort of grown up, but at the time they're much easier to manipulate than a typical adult, and that's why we have the protections in the law for that.
Yeah, I mean, he's 50, she's 15, and just wanted to be clear, because some people, as they follow this, were like, well, what responsibility does she bear for going with him? And I'm constantly emphasizing the child in this situation is absolutely it's not her fault in any way, shape, or form. She's 15. This is a 50-year-old manipulating her, right?
Absolutely.
Under no circumstance.
But a lot of times that the grooming behavior may last for months.
Yes, right.
Building up to the point where they may begin trying to reach out and touch, just to see where their barriers are and kind of slowly wear them down so that it doesn't seem out of the ordinary for them eventually. And it's not where they start from day one sexually molesting these children. A lot of times it may go on for months before that begins.
Yeah. I also say people like this are really good at what they do. And they have a lot of patience and a lot of willing to do it. And so whatever it takes to get it done, it doesn't matter how long it is. And they'll
you mean the suspect in this case?
Yeah,
the grooming.
Just good at what they do.
Well, yeah.
And I think part of the reason why many children either don't tell for a long time or never tell until they're maybe an adult is because of the shame and guilt. Because the perpetrator is manipulating this child, and you know, and at some point, you know, many times they'll say, well, you wanted this. You know, this was your idea, or you wanted this, or they'll say things like, if you tell anybody, you know, I'll go away forever, or nobody will believe you. And so the shame and guilt is just heaped on the child. It's terrible.
You have to wonder, like in this case and others, I mean, would you imagine there were warning signs? I mean, I guess there were reports that led to an investigation that there was inappropriate contact between him and her at school. And he lost his job and was suspended for a while. So at that point, I don't know that anyone imagined they would just take off like this and then be off the grid for this long.
The other thing about child sexual abuse is that, and what the clinical team members have taught me over the years, is that if there were a checklist of like 10 characteristics, stay away from this kind of person, they're the dangerous ones, but it's not like that.
No one knew. His wife, and this guy has a wife and daughters, they had no clue. None whatsoever. So you definitely can't tell. People have this image of what a child molester or abuser looks like, you know, just, you know, some scary looking dude or whatever, but that's not true, is it?
No.
I mean, you see, they come from all walks of life.
I've been working child sex abuse cases for 16 years, and I've arrested everybody from every walk of life, you name it. I've had somebody I've arrested from that background.
Yeah.
It's not at all what you would expect. A lot of times they look just like you or me.
When you do, yeah, and you're right. All socioeconomic backgrounds different, rich, poor, whatever, middle class. So when you do arrest them, when you get them, what do they say? I know it's probably varies, and you see it on the TV shows where they try to make up excuses. But when you catch them in the act, say because they were doing it online, trying to set a child up, what are their excuses? What do they try to say?
Well, for my cases, the beauty with I work mostly child porn and child exploitation on the internet, that kind of crime. By the time we get to their house, we've already got a ton of evidence. We've been building a case for a couple months probably before we ever knock on their door. So there's not a whole lot they can't say. We're going in with a search warrant. We're getting their computers and their phones, and we've already got pretty much everything we need.
Right.
And a lot of them will just roll over and tell us, yeah, this is what's been going on. This is what's been happening. They're never going to tell us everything. We'll get into the forensics on the computers, and a lot of times we'll get the computer techs will come back and say, well, you need to subpoena this Dropbox or this online storage. That's what we're seeing a lot more of lately.
What is that, like they have Dropboxes? Or
like the cloud, like Apple Cloud. You have free storage capacity on their servers, so it's not sitting at your house. It's all the evidence we're needing is sitting somewhere on a different server in a different state, because Apple has their server, or Dropbox, or Google Drive, or any of those it's free services a lot of times. I mean, most of the phone services offer a couple gigs of storage space for pictures and that kind of stuff. So more and more we're seeing less hard drives at the scene and more cloud storage stuff that we have to then subpoena or serve search warrants again for those.
Right.
But our guys by the time we get to them, they're done. I mean, we've got enough evidence.
Got the evidence at that point.
They're toast.
The actual contact offenses are much harder, because you got children that it's been going on for a long time. A lot of times their memories, if it's been going on for a couple years, it may take them a long time to kind of sort through all those memories, and stuff comes out over months. And those are harder to prosecute, much harder.
Right. I mean, I guess then anyone who has a child these days, I just know my son is so much more savvy on the internet than I'm not even close. I mean, he's 16 now. We've talked to him about it and what the importance is. But I mean, there's Snapchat. There's all these pictures, things that can come through. We told him if he ever gets anything sent to him that appear, like say some friend sending him some inappropriate picture, it's underage, that's instantly child porn that's sent to him, whether he requested it or not. And he's to bring that phone to me, and we have to report it instantly, just to be sure, because it'll track him, it'll bite him in the butt, even though he had nothing to do with it. Right?
Yep.
I mean, we saw a lot of that go down when a crime was committed in the Vanderbilt rape case. There were guys that were sent stuff, and they were dragged into it. And actually, they tried to cover it up, of course.
It worked out in our favor that they were sharing it around, because it helped us build a much stronger case in that case.
As that and Chad Gish, right?
Yes, Chad Gish.
You guys have a great, you work with them as well in terms of pulling stuff off?
He's our forensic guy. So
yeah, boy, he does.
I go out and seize the stuff at the house,
and
or
he
from
pulls
the suspect.
it out.
He then takes it another step further and digs all the stuff out there from the deleted space on the hard drives and that kind of stuff.
See, Rob Kerrigan is one reason why I have a lot of hope. I mean, there are really some great, smart, good people out there that are like really working hard to protect children. Yeah.
Well, I mean, all right. So what do we tell parents then anyway? The dangers, or what you should watch for with your kids now online? I mean, just the basics. Has anything changed? It's you want to try to monitor it. I don't know if you put filters on, but they're going to be on Snapchat and some of these others that you're not necessarily. Talk to them, trust them, but what else can you do?
I say don't trust them.
I know. You're probably right, but how do then you get to it? You just grab their phone and look through it. I know people can do that.
And that's what every time we talk to schools, we go out and talk to the kids. We talk to parent groups a lot of times. I always say it's your phone. Yes, I'm giving the phone to my kids for them, but the kids are going to know if you're not paying attention. If you're, as a parent, they're going to know if you're not watching. So you need to sort of stagger it up a little bit. Like with my own children, I tell them, at any point I can come look at your phone. I may take it out of your hand. I may come in when you're sleeping and look at it. I may go for 3 or 4 weeks without looking at it, but you're not going to know. And it's mine. If there's a day when I come in and I try to check your phone and your password's been changed, that'll be the last day you see that phone.
Yeah.
I don't know why parents don't consider it. I mean, my job is to protect my children. They're not smart enough and savvy enough at this point to protect themselves from much more savvy suspects, and I want to protect them. So it's not that I don't trust them, but I don't trust everybody else.
Sure. And it's not just the cell phones. It's the video games now. You can get on Call of Duty or something like that.
Absolutely.
And I remember walking in and seeing my son playing, and I see that he's got 2 other players playing with him. One was like in Japan. I mean, it's all cyber linked. And I said, now, can you communicate? And he goes, yeah, sometimes people can't, but I shut off that part. I don't want to hear from these clowns anyway. And he just plays. But I mean, that's how, I mean, it's in a video game, and they've got the links, right, through the computer and playing with other people. And then all of a sudden, someone there can start commenting to them, say, hey, you're good, and who knows, right?
We've had those cases.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, yeah, and that's where you know, you think you could get to them. Some guy who plays the game with them, they develop a trust, they think it's another child. And then what do? They try to get you to go meet them somewhere?
Yeah, let's play together sometime. Let's meet up, let's play together. And then they can start, you know, fake conversations. You know, do you go to so-and-so school, or do you go to this school? And then, you know, an unknowing kid will say, no, I go to this school. Oh, right. Do you know Miss Jones? Oh, no, I don't have any classes with Miss Jones. Oh, well, who's your homeroom teacher or whatever? And then that just gets in. That just, they start learning more and more by just a child answering questions unknowingly.
And then they get the child's trust because they have these questions, it seems. And then they're trying to get the child, are they trying to get the child to kidnap the child, just to show up to then sexually assault the child? What's the end game on those cases?
It depends.
Yeah,
I think it depends.
Yeah, it's like the case out of Murray County.
Right.
I mean, and one of the things that happened almost 3 years ago was that clinical team members, we were having a meeting, and they said, this is the strangest thing. This is the 4th or this is the 7th occurrence where our patient was lured into a really dangerous situation by somebody they thought they knew online, and it wasn't a 14-year-old boy, it was a 33-year-old man, and they were like a deer in the headlights, you know, and they were raped. And so so we started saying, what is going on here? So Jill called up Rob, and we said, we want to be trained, because this is a pattern now in our clinical practice. And so Rob trained us. He trained the board, our kids' board, and then we developed the Keeping Kids Safe Online, the collateral piece that's on our website, just for giving parents guidelines. You know, here are some guidelines that, you know, the world has changed. I mean, the gravity, the vulnerability of, you know, just having, you know, the computer on your phone. I mean, it's dangerous. There are dangers out there that didn't exist even 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah, you got to remember that. Listen, we'll take a break. We'll come back, and like, I'm looking at the warning signs in terms of noticing the behavior changes in a child when something like this starts going on. There's all kinds of things you can pick out if you know what to look for, and that's encouraging. We'll take a break. Be back with more right after this. Stay with us.